everybody, welcome to the Lesson Planning Basics webinar using Planbook Plus. My name is Ruth and I'm here with my colleague Tabitha.
Hello everyone.
And we are both members of the Planbook Plus training team. Today we're going to take about 30 minutes, including a short question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Our goal today is to go over the power of Planbook Plus and how Planbook Plus can help with your planning needs. Everyone has been placed in listeners mode at the beginning of the webinar. This will help to eliminate any background noise. Please feel free to use the chat feature at any time during the presentation to ask questions. Now let's go over the agenda for today's webinar. What is Planbook Plus? Planning basics using the calendar, timeline, and weekly planner planning tools. Setting your preferences. Teacher sharing. Let's start today with what is Planbook Plus. Planbook Plus isn't your ordinary lesson planning tool. It is a powerful, full-featured online lesson planner that allows you to take control of your lesson planning experience. Everyone plans a little differently. Are you a long-range planner? Our timeline view is a tremendous tool to allow for big-picture, longitudinal planning across a school year. With this tool, you can move out of your week-to-week concepts and plan out how you want your year to flow. Do you find structure and organization in a week-to-week or even day-to-day planning adjustments? To easily update or modify your year as your year goes on, consider using the calendar view or weekly planner. The weekly planner also lets you view your upcoming lessons at one easy glance. Now let's move on to the demonstration portion of today's webinar. I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha, who's going to start with our calendar planning tool.
When logging into Planbook Plus, you are first taken to the calendar view. The calendar view is going to be where you do your daily planning, or you may use this on an everyday basis to help guide you through your day. The drop-down menu will display the planbook you are currently editing as you move through the different views. The calendar view allows you to view multiple planbooks by using the Planbook drop-down menu and selecting the planbooks you want to view. The calendar puts your planbooks in order based on the times that you have set. Another unique feature of the calendar view is the filter drop-down. The filter drop-down is going to allow you to customize the elements you want to see in your calendar view. You may want to select a default to always show your goals, objectives, materials, essential questions. If these are the elements you would like to view on a regular basis, you would want to set your default by clicking Set to Default. You may want to view additional elements that are not in your default at a later date. You can do that by checking off these elements. The elements will all load as they are selected. If the view becomes too overwhelming and you want to go back to your default, you can simply click Load Default. The calendar can be viewed in a day mode or a week mode, which will show you the entire week or just one day at a time. The calendar view has navigation tools that allow you to jump forward or back a week, and you can also use the date selector to select another day during the month. Planbook Plus allows you to print your calendar exactly how it is seen on screen. Once you have set your filtering options, click the Print button. This will give you a PDF screenshot of your calendar view. If you wish to change the PDF screenshot and what it contains, go back to the calendar view and change your Planbook and filter option settings. To begin putting lesson plans in, you can click the drop-down arrow next to the lesson name and select Edit Lesson, or by clicking on the lesson name. Once you click to edit your lesson, you are taken to the Planbook Item Edit page. Here is where you can enter all the details of your lesson plan. You are first taken to the Elements tab, which will allow you to type your lesson plans in. Currently, I am using the default element design template. However, this can be customized by clicking on the Customize Element Design button, which we will go over later on. Once you have created your design, you can begin planning. Simply click in a text box and begin typing. Once you are done, click on the next text box. you will notice your changes have automatically been saved. Now you can enter your materials: pencil, paper, rulers. Since this is a list, I am going to check the box that says Enable Auto Bulleting. This will automatically bullet each line in the text box. Now that we have entered all the details of our lesson plan, we can begin attaching standards. Planbook Plus allows you to attach standards two different ways: by clicking on the Edit button and simply typing or copying and pasting standards from another document, or by using our preloaded standards picker. To pick standards from our standards picker, click the Add Standards button. A pop-up window will display, allowing you to choose your state and standards. Select your state, your subject, and your grade level. You can use the search bar to search for a keyword, or you can use the tree to find a specific standard. You can add standards at the lowest level, which would be the standard level, or the highest level, which will select everything beneath that. Once you are done, click on the Finish button. This will attach the chosen standards to your lesson plan. If you made a mistake and would like to remove standards, click the checkbox next to the standards you would like to remove and click the Remove Selected button. If you are looking for a set of standards that are not loaded into Planbook Plus, please reach out to our support team and we will be happy to get those on a list to load in for you. The next tab we will go over is the Resources tab. The Resources tab allows you to add different types of resources. All Planbook Plus users have the ability to add files, websites, and text resources. Notice that links, files, and lessons become clickable, which will take you directly to the resource or download the resource in a new Internet tab. If you wish to delete a resource, simply click on the checkbox next to the resource you would like to remove and click the Delete Selected button. The last tab we will go over is the Overview tab. The Overview tab allows you to change the main details of your lesson, such as the name, the time, the duration, and the start date. This can all be done by clicking on the Edit button. Now that we have entered our first lesson plan, let's return to the calendar view to see these changes. You can now see all the details we have entered are updated in the calendar view. The next way to plan in Planbook Plus is by using our timeline view, which Ruth will go over.
The Timeline Planning tool is a feature that is unique to Planbook Plus. It is a quick and easy way to scope and sequence your course for long-term planning and fill in the details later. This will be great for teachers who want to plan out over this summer, or teachers who collaborate with team teachers at grade level meetings or common planning times. When you arrive on the Timeline Planning tool, you will see that there are two sides to the Timeline tool: the outline side on the left and the timeline side on the right. We are going to start out today by creating an outline for our course. There are two different add buttons at the top of the timeline. There is an add item below and an add sub-item button. The add item below button will add an item at the highest level of your outline, or it will add an item at the same level as the selected item. The Add Sub-Item button will add an item below the selected lesson. Adding a sub-item is how you will group your lessons by unit or quarter. I'm going to start out today by adding a few items to my timeline. I'll click on the Add Item button a few times, and once you've added a few items, you will see them populating below in your outline. You can now rename those items by simply double-clicking the item, typing in the name, and clicking Enter. It's as easy as that. Simply double-click the name, type in the new name, and click Enter. Now that we have a few items in our timeline, let's organize those items into groups or units. I am going to start by adding another item at the bottom of all of our items. Let's name this Unit 1. Simply drag and drop the items into the unit. Many of you may already have items in your plan book, and this is the method that you're going to use to organize your lessons into units and quarters. If you are working on an outline from scratch, then you can also create these units and groups as you are outlining your lessons. So now I'm going to create another unit underneath Unit 1. So I want to add an item at the same level as Unit 1. So I'm going to highlight Unit 1 and click on Add Item below. Let me rename this Unit 2. Now let me add a few items into Unit 2. I'm going to click on Unit 2 and then click on Add Subitem. Once you add the subitem, all the other items will be added below. Now let me add a few more items in Unit 2. Again, at this point, I can rename the lessons by simply double-clicking, typing in the name, and clicking Enter. And you can group these lessons even further by semester, quarter, or month. You can create another item at the bottom and name that Quarter 1. Now you can drag your entire Unit 1 group into Quarter 1. Now when you expand, you can see the entire outline. You will see that each item defaults to 1 day, and the units are calculated based on that. If you know you are planning a lesson that takes more than 1 day, plan that out now while you're outlining. You can do that by dragging the name of the lesson and highlighting the number of days on the timeline that that lesson should cover. If you need to delete an item, you can highlight that item in the outline and click Delete. Or you can click on the X inside that item on the timeline. Now I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha, who's going to go over our weekly planner planning tool.
Our final way to plan is by using the weekly planner view. Our weekly planner allows you to view your week at a glance. You can see that we have the same navigation features by using the forward and back arrows to jump week by week, or by using the date selector to select a specific day. The weekly planner also has the same filter options as the calendar view. You can filter the elements you want to edit by selecting those elements in the filter dropdown. The weekly planner will remember your default filter options. You can also access the Customize Element Design page, which will allow you to customize your template with the different elements. The weekly planner works similar to the Planbook item edit page, where you can click in the text box and begin typing. Once you click off that text box, your changes will automatically save. A few things that I would like to point out is by clicking on the lesson name, this will take you back to the Planbook item edit page where you can pick standards and attach resources to your lesson plans. The weekly planner gives you the flexibility to add a standards description by using the text box or by picking standards by clicking the Attach Standards link, which will also bring you back to the Planbook item edit page. Here is where you can pick from our standards picker. The last feature I would like to discuss on this page is the Print to PDF button. This button will take all your lesson plans for the week and put them into a PDF file, which could be printed or emailed to your administrator. You can use this for substitute teachers as well. This report and other reports can be accessed by visiting the Reports page.
For each plan book, you have a Settings page. This is where you will rename, mark the plan books as active or inactive, and set your start dates and times for that plan book. You can also set and edit your holidays in your Settings page. If you set up using the wizard, you may have set up your shared holidays already. Shared holidays are global holidays across all plan books. You can also set specific non-teaching days or custom holidays per plan book. An example of a custom holiday would be a field trip or an assembly that may only affect part of your school day. From the plan book settings, you can also add or update your scheduling for that plan book. Everyday scheduling would be if you teach this course Monday through Friday. We also offer A/B scheduling, custom rotation scheduling, which will determine how many days you have in your rotation and choose what days you teach those specific classes. Then we also offer weekday scheduling, which would be if you teach specific classes on specific days of the week. You will select the days applicable for this plan book. The next tab in Planbook settings is the Design tab. This is where you will find the Custom Element Designer. If you have set up your elements in the wizard, you can edit them here with the pencil. You will want to edit the sharing options for each of your elements. Click the pencil icon to edit the name or sharing options. The student sharing options that we offer for your custom elements are going to be not shared, which would never share that information with your students. Share immediately, which it would be available at any time for your students to view. Shared manually would mean that there's a checkbox on your calendar for when you would like to release that information to the students. And shared on date is going to automatically release that information to the students on the date of your lesson plan. Add a new element at the bottom by simply inputting a name and choosing the sharing options. If you want to reuse a template from another plan book, you can append that design into your current plan book. All elements can also be rearranged simply by clicking and dragging them to the location you desire. The next tab in our Planbook settings is Teacher Sharing. Teacher Sharing is new to our Planner subscribers. Once you click on the tab, what you need to do is simply input the email address for the teacher you wish to share, and their email address must be the same as their Planbook Plus account. Click the Check User button to verify that email account, and then click Save. This will share the Planbook with that teacher. You can remove sharing at any point by finding the teacher name in the above grid and clicking on the Delete icon to remove the sharing. Now that you know how to share a Planbook with another teacher, let's take a look at how to view a Planbook shared with you. You can see a list of Planbooks shared with you on the Planbook search page. That can be accessed by clicking on the My Planbooks menu and choosing Planbook Search, or by clicking on the Planbook Plus logo in the upper left corner of the top navigation. Once you are at the Planbook search page, change the search to show Planbook Shared with Me. You can click to view that Planbook in any of our views, copy that Planbook as it is by clicking on the Copy button. If you want to copy parts of that Planbook and map your custom elements, click on the timeline. Once you are on the timeline, you can select the units and click Copy and follow the steps in the Copy Wizard. You can learn more about the Planbook Copy Wizard by visiting our support portal for a tutorial.
Tabitha is going to go through and show you how to share your Planbooks with your students. Ruth went over the different settings you can set for your students to see specific elements in your Planbook. I am going to quickly go over the different icons you'll see in the calendar view once you have set those settings. If you have an element that you want your students to always see, you will notice an icon that is grayed out with a check mark next to it. This means your students will always be able to see this element. If you have an element that you want to choose if you want your students to see it or not, depending on the situation, you will notice the same icon, only now you will be able to check and uncheck, giving you the option to allow your students to view this element or not. The choice setting gives you the most flexibility. If you have selected to never show an element to your students, you will not see an icon next to that element, indicating this will never show for students. For example, my assessment will never show for my students. Files, standards, and websites will always default to the choice option, which will allow you to choose if you want your students to see these or not. Now that we have set everything that we want to share with our students, let's go over on how to give students access to the student view mode. To give student access, click on the My Planbooks button and select Student Sharing. This will bring you to our Planbook Sharing Links page. Begin by giving your link a name. If you want your students to enter a password on entry, you would type that password here. Then select the plan books you want to share with your students. Once you are done, click the plus button to create the link. Now that you have created a link, you can distribute this link to students or parents so they know exactly what's going on in your classroom. This link can be posted on a teacher website, emailed, printed on a syllabus, or any other form of communication you have with your parents and students. Let's take a look at what students see. I'm going to copy and paste this link in a new tab. This link gives your students access to your plan book, which will only allow them to view the elements you want them to see. This is especially great for keeping those students who are absent or parents up to date on what's going on in the classroom the day that they are out. Students do not have access to edit your plan book. They can just view what you allow them to see. You can always remove access from your students by deleting the link. Please note, once a link is removed, the same link will never be recreated. You will need to distribute a new link to students and parents.
The first thing you want to do is to set up classes and rosters. Setting up classes and rosters will allow you to provide your students with logins to view your lesson plans, and you'll also be able to use the built-in gradebook to track and monitor student progress. To set up classes and students, first go to the My Classes tab found in the top navigation. This will take you to the Class and Student Management page. You will see two tabs on this page, one for classes and one for students. Depending on whether you're an elementary teacher who teaches the same students in more than one class, or if you're a secondary teacher who teaches the same classes with multiple students, you'll want to set up your plan books accordingly. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over the best way for you to set up your classes if you teach multiple classes to the same group of students, or if you're an elementary teacher. So for an elementary teacher, the first thing you're going to want to do is to add all of your students into Planbook Plus. To add a student, you're going to navigate to the Students tab from your Class and Student Management page. Then you're going to click on Add a New Student. You'll be prompted with a pop-up to input the information of their first name, last name, and a username and password. And then you'll click Save. And you'll continue to do this until all of your students have been entered into the system. Now that we've added our students to Planbook Plus, let's create classes and enroll them in those classes. So now you're going to navigate to your Classes tab in the Class and Student Management page. You're going to click on Add a New Class, and when you click on Add a New Class, you're going to input a name for that class. We suggest something similar to the name of your plan book, and then select the plan book for that class. And then you'll click Save. One thing that you're going to want to remember is that even though you have the same group of students, you are going to want to create a class for each of your courses and each of your plan books. Because if you are going to utilize our online lessons, or you're going to utilize the online gradebook for integration, then you're going to want your students to be separated by course and your lessons and grades by course. Now, once you have your classes created in the system, then you can add your students to the class, actually right here from the Classes tab. So from the Classes tab, you're going to select that class and then select to add students. You could choose to add an existing student. So now you can click Add Existing Student for that class, and then what you'll see is the search page. From the student search page, what you're going to do is filter that. So you could choose to type in a student's name to search for them. If you know they're in an existing class that you already have created, you could search by that as well. And you can also filter by school year. So year over year, you don't have to worry about seeing those students again. So you're just going to find the student that you'd like to add, check the box next to their name or multiple names, and then click the Add Students button. That will load those students into that class. If you've preloaded, let's say, your math class, you could use that math roster as your starting point and add everybody from math into your English, social studies, and science. So that's how you're going to set up your classes and students as an elementary teacher. Now you could do the same thing if you were a secondary teacher, although you have a lot more students to preload into the system. So we suggest actually swapping and doing the reverse of what I just did. So if you're a secondary teacher, what you're going to do is start on the Classes tab, and you're going to create a class, again by clicking Add New Class, inputting the name and selecting your Planbook, and clicking Save. Now once you have your classes created in the system, then you can add your students to the class, actually right here from the Classes tab. So you'll click on Add New Student to this class. You'll input the student's name, username, password, and then you'll click Save. Now, if you already have students that have been loaded into Planbook Plus, you could also choose to add an existing student. Now we've loaded up our classes and our students both ways, as if we were an elementary teacher and also a secondary teacher. And now for your students to take advantage of this student access that we've created, what you're going to see on both the Student and the Classes tabs is a blue bar with a hyperlink in it. That is your unique teacher code link that you can provide to your parents and your students for them to get access to your lesson plans online based on what you've shared with them. We're going to talk about this link a little bit later, but I just wanted to point it out to you now because when your students log in, they'll have to log in with your unique teacher code. That just about wraps up adding students and classes to the system. Now remember, you're going to want to set up these classes ahead of time so that way you can utilize the features of our online gradebooks and our student access. And now I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha. Now let's talk about student access. We talked earlier about adding our classes and students and our unique teacher URL that we have provided you with. So what you're going to do is give that link to your parents and teachers, and then we're going to show you what it's going to look like in Planbook Plus when your students get access. So I've pasted that hyperlink into the URL, and you can see here that we're on our login screen. There's a teacher code that's already filled in because you've used your unique teacher URL. Then the students will be provided with their username and password, and they're going to log in to get access to your Planbook lessons that you have shared with them. Once logged in, you'll see that the students are taken directly to their calendar, and the calendar is set up based on what you have shared with them. So anything that you have shared automatically or always shared with them, they will always see that information on their calendar. If you have shared it manually and you have released it to them, it'll appear on their calendar when you check that box. Or if you have selected Share on Date, then you will notice that on a student's calendar, that will appear on the date of your Planbook item. From the student's calendar, they can also select to view the calendar for the different courses that they may be enrolled in. Students can see what they have for homework, they can see what their lesson plan is for the next day, they could prepare for what they're going to be learning about the following day, and they can also get access to all of your resources that you've loaded into your lessons. So if you'd like them to view a video prior to attending class, or if there's a homework worksheet that you've attached, if they've forgotten in their classroom, they could log on to their Planbook and actually get that from Planbook Plus. That wraps up our student access part of the presentation, so I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha, who's going to talk about our integrated gradebook.
Gradebook can be accessed by clicking on the Gradebook button on the black menu bar. This will bring you to the Gradebook page within Planbook Plus. Here is where you will select the Planbook and corresponding class in which you would like to view. Once a Planbook and class is selected, your Gradebook will populate with the list of students assigned to that class, student averages, and the assignments you have given them. The colors indicate the current status of a lesson. Blue lessons are those that have not been assigned to students online, but from a Planbook manually. The name of your lesson can be added to your Gradebook by visiting the Calendar page. First, you will find the lesson plan you want to add, then click the drop-down arrow. You will then select Add to Gradebook. Once the lesson plan has been added, you can begin grading by clicking in the blue box underneath the assignment and manually typing in the grade for your student and clicking Enter. You will be able to keep track of your grades easily. We are going to stick around for some questions. If anyone has any, please feel free to chat those in the chat box. I'm going to put up our support information. If you have any questions while you're planning, you can reach out to our wonderful support team via email, chat, or use our support portal. If you would like additional resources to help you while you are planning, you can visit our YouTube channel. We would like to thank everyone for attending, and we hope you enjoy your experience with Planbook Plus.